Hey, how's it going, everyone? Mick from All About Tech. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I have an extremely special video for you guys. I have a very special guest. He is no stranger to the channel, making his third appearance on All About Tech. We have the CEO of Electroneum, Richard Ells.
Hi, Mick. How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for inviting me on.
No problem at all. Thank you very much for taking the time out today. Obviously, lockdown, uh, ev no matter what, even though we're in lockdown, you guys are still hella busy, so I appreciate you taking the time out today.
No, not
Um,
at all. Not at all. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. Nice to see your background on lockdown. Looks like a lot of fun there.
it is. Unfortunately, I've not actually played it much, but now that we've spoken about it, I'm probably going to play it after this.
Good idea.
But yeah, so I've drafted a few questions for you today. Obviously, you did a massive Q&A, so I'll try and keep things fresh. Try and make you reveal all your secrets. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. I know you're very busy and you've got
Yeah, no
another
problem. I
meeting
can
to
feel
dash
my
off to.
teeth cringing at the very thought of people asking me questions I'm not supposed to answer. I'm like,
Well, you always seem to be very good at answering them nonetheless.
well,
And
I'll always try. There's a few things that, as the viewers have got to know by now, that once we skirt around the edge of, sometimes my lawyers, I can feel them speed dialing me in the background. They want what they're going to do. They need a taser attachment to my phone so that I can keep it in my pocket, and they can tase me remotely if I start going off too far down one particular track.
definitely. Right, let's get straight into it then. So, first question I want to ask you is in regarding to the marketing strategy that you guys are going to be doing. So, ecosystem is basically complete. Obviously, pending the launch of Task School. Um, in the Anon Summit, you were saying about how it's now time to shout about ETN. You've built this ecosystem. You're ready to go.
Yep.
So my first question to you is: have you already started shouting about ETN, or
Uh,
will you
well,
wait for Task
we
School to launch
spent
first?
small amounts to try and work out what type of banners we want. So we were doing some smaller work in Facebook, where it's really easy to spend small amounts, target it, work out what your click throughs are and stuff to work out banner engagement. So some of that has taken place to find out what it is that people respond to. I have a meeting at 11 o'clock today, in fact, to look at the banners that are going out. So we've got the first two platforms. Not sure whether I should literally announce them here or not, but if I will, if you want. So
Oh,
I
go for it!
literally
An
the
AAT
first
exclusive.
the first two places that we're going live are CoinGecko and CryptoCompare, and those two places have got quite wide exposure. And what we'll be doing is we'll be honing everything off the back of those campaigns, because they've got a really wide audience, wider audience than we've reached before. So we're going to be driving multiple banners. I think there is six on one and three or four on the other, and then we're going to swap them out as well. So we're going to be there's six different ones working with others coming in on rotation. And then what we're going to be doing is analyzing the traffic, working out what gets the best bang for the buck. That's probably a phrase that I can't use anymore. But you get the idea that we're going to be analysing what goes on from those, and then we can expand off. I mean, if you look at the costs of running ads, I don't know whether or not your viewers are aware of what the costs are of running some of these ads on some platforms. After haggling, I'm not, again, actually, no, do you know what? I won't say what the costs are, because CoinMarketCap might not like it, although it's probably public knowledge. Actually, CoinMarketCap after haggling was quoted at, so for the leader banner, $7,000 a day. So not
Wow.
small amounts of money. So you want the banner that works to be the right one. So you don't want to be doing your tests at that cost rate. So yeah, CoinGecko and CryptoCompare going for live first. I mean, I use CoinGecko. If any of your viewers, I was going to say readers, then that shows you how old I am. Yeah, if your viewers don't use it already, I mean, I use that one a lot anyway. So and I dare say an awful lot of other people do. We did our research on all the platforms, of course, in terms of audience overlap and reach into the markets that we are in. And we're in a happy place at the moment. So this is how it's going to start, and it's starting with well. And to be fair, I think well, I haven't got the exact dates of the start from those guys. One of them starting before the other. As soon as I have the dates back from them, like I say, I've got the sign off at 11 o'clock for what's going to them. So I said we'd have it all over by the end of the week. Whether it's live by the end of the week, I couldn't tell you, but I will keep everybody posted on our social to say this is the go live date. Maybe we'll put the creative out or whatever. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's well underway now, so that we're going to do a bit more shouting about our project, because genuinely, who's out there that's actually got an ecosystem that works? Who's got real life transactions? I know there's lots and lots. Oh, look how many blockchain transactions you've got. You're like, yeah, well, I could write a little script that whizzed loads and loads of transactions around my blockchain if I wanted, but what would be the point? But that stuff is going on. I mean, when you look at the projects, just say who is really using them to benefit? Who is really, pick the top 20 projects, go through them and say who's ever bought something with X? And some of them aren't designed to have things bought with, but you get the idea. Pick what their utility is and say how many people have actually used it for that utility. And it's peanuts. We've got hundreds of thousands of people using our product, and we deserve to be up in lights. So that's what our next phase is. Fantastic. Long answers. Sorry, I always give long answers, but there's a bit of it.
It's always good to get that in-depth answer. I remember I did that live show on Digit Spin Crypto with Olivier, and we actually spoke about marketing there. And one thing that I highlighted was something that when you like hearing about the $7,000 a day, I mean, that just screams that you do have to analyze your sample testing marketing before you actually go live with it, and that's something that you guys have always done. And I know you as you have a marketing business, and it's something that you've been doing for many years anyway. So it's actually really good to hear that you're not just spending that money for the sake of spending it. And that's what a lot of projects do. They spend the majority of their market cap just hyping and marketing, because that is how they're going to get people to buy it.
But then they run out of dough and the project goes nowhere. So you ultimately, I mean, I've had 20 plus years running a digital agency. So I'm not certainly not new to the game, and I think this is a lot of it. It is a young thing. I mean, I know I'm a coder, but I am fairly long in the tooth as coders go. I think you'll find it's a very young game. I've got all of my coding team, super duper youngsters. They've got way better brains than I have. But when you look at it, you've got to have some experience as well, because that experience is what tells you how you're not just going to lose everything, and be an overnight, and then it's done. And this, we're talking about something that's we're going to have. As soon as the market sees what we're doing, I think they're going to be really, really excited again. They sort of maybe heard the name Electroneum and they've forgotten all about it, and we're languishing around. But actually come back and have a look. If you come back and have a look, I think you'd be astonished at what we've achieved, which, like I said, we're all proud of as a team.
Fantastic. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Let's press on. Let's get to the next question, because otherwise we're going to end up running out of time. But the next question I want to ask you is regarding the US market. Obviously, arguably, in terms of the crypto community, they have one of, if not the biggest presence in the crypto market, and a massive portion of the ETN community are based in the US. Now, could you explain the process that ETN is taking in order to get listed on US-based exchanges? I know there's like a document that you guys...
This is a skirting around question for sure. The answer is you need to have a memo from a US lawyer. I don't think that I should be going into too much detail about what it needs to be and what it needs to cover, other than to say we've been on this for a long time. We started the journey, well, probably a year ago. We went down the route with one law firm whom I would love dearly to name and shame, but I think trying to name and shame a law firm is probably a really bad idea. But they kept putting their hand out for more, going, we're nearly there, and then the hand came out for more, teasing us in. This is a massive US law firm. And then I've just got this feeling that it was never going to happen. And I put it on the line and said, look, you're not getting any more tranches of money until you tell us definitively you're going to be able to deliver this. And then they went, actually, no, we can't deliver it. And we were furious. Since then, we've gone off. Took a different route. That route originally was us going to the market saying, right, we need big, we need the best, we need people that are well recognized. That's who we're going to. And then within their partners, I'm not sure if you call them partners in the States, but within their team hierarchy, we were picking people that have got crypto experience. So now we've got a different route. We went to the exchanges themselves and said, right, which law firms is it that you'd recommend? And we are working with one of those on some stuff, which, like I say, it's taken a fair amount of time. We had in fact, this Saturday that just went past, I had a 3-hour call on Saturday to go through documents regarding this. So look, I'm on it, and whenever the law firm goes, right, we've done the next tranche of stuff, we don't just sit there and let it sit on a shelf for 6 months. We're on it straight away. So I'm trying to make sure that everybody in the world has the ability to utilize ETN for the best possible benefit of themselves, the ETN project, and the global south, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to enable people. So yeah, look, I'm on it. I can't talk about that in a great deal of detail. I probably have already said too much answering that at all. That is definitely a question the lawyers would zap me with and say, just skip that one. But, I always want to be as transparent as I possibly can with everybody, and that's who I am as a person. So I'll always have a go, but I do, at the back of my mind, I have a little voice going, please go on.
No, like I said, it is hugely appreciated that you are massively transparent, and you're always trying to give as much detail as you physically can get. It's actually a really interesting approach to go to the exchanges, because they're the ones that are listing you, so they're the ones ultimately that could get in a lot of trouble for listing a project that the SEC may deem not suitable.
I'm glad you said that, actually, because that perhaps people don't quite understand why it's happening, and that is, without a shadow of a doubt, everybody who uses lawyers for anything is doing one thing, and they're doing it a lot of, and they are covering their backsides, right? So all lawyers, other than virtually all lawyers, as far as I can tell, are paid huge amounts of money to cover people's arses. So the exchanges need their backsides covered, right? Because if someone was to come down to them and say, hey, that doesn't look right, they go, here's my piece of paper from a lawyer, and it says fine. Oh, okay. And then the lawyers themselves, you'll find that it's pages and pages and pages. I've seen an example document, 45 pages long, 45 pages of nothing but covering their own backsides. And then right at the last page, penultimate paragraph, there's a little hint about the company that paid them for that 45 pages worth of work that says, oh, actually, yeah, that'd be okay. And then the final paragraph was yet more backside covering for the lawyers. So everybody, we were in a litigious world. We're in a world of heavy regulation. And so everybody wants a piece of paper to hide behind, and you can't blame them, because ultimately there's lots of money in this world. And if you're running an exchange, you're a target, because if you've got a lot of money, then the regulators go, well, we could do with some of that money if we just go in there and find the hell out of it. So that everybody needs this shield, this piece of paper, and they won't let you in the door without it. So, but equally, again, I was just about to name another project. Let's put it this way: there's a big project out there that everybody who's watching this knows the name. I believe they have a subpoena. I won't say who that's from either, but I believe they are under subpoena from somebody for something, and yet they are listed and traded on US exchanges. So we will get. I think we'll get there. We just need to. We just need to find the right partners and make sure we make sure the structure is right. And there's a few things we can. But let's just change the topic before I actually damage the project with my mouth.
No, like I said, massively appreciated that you did give a detailed answer on it. But yeah, let's move on. So you recently announced the utility top-ups for electricity with ETN. That heavily excited me. Massive news. I was wondering if this was also facilitated by like a third party, same with the top ups, or if it's going to be
Yeah,
like a
it
direct
absolutely is.
partnership.
I mean, that relationship that we forged, what, 2018, I guess, maybe at the end of 2018, coming into 2019, that relationship sort of developed, and we've grown it ever since. It gives you a really easy shortcut into de-risking everything for whoever you're partnering with. And I say the word partnering in inverted commas too, because I'm not allowed to use the word partners. It has a legal connotation in the UK. We're not partnered with these companies, even though the companies quite often publish on their website that we are their partners, and the word partners gets thrown around quite loosely. It has a legal definition. We are not technically partners. It's not there's no, shareholding or whatever. We're not a legal partner, but working with or working in conjunction, or whatever the lawyers want us to say. Yeah. So we are working with a company that de-risks it. So they make a margin. So they've got a couple of % margin from doing it, which is why sometimes you'll see some of the people have said to us, well, your airtime's too expensive. No, nobody would ever buy it. Well, we've had 120,000 plus purchases of airtime, individual purchases, and in ETN. So people are buying it. What's really interesting is that we had 20,000 in a week when our price spiked. People are aware of the market. So remember one thing, in crypto, lots of volatility, lots of up, lots of down, lots of left, lots of right, just it's a crazy kind of world. Now, if they're aware of that, if the airtime is 10%, even 20% more than they would perhaps be able to buy it for by traveling maybe even a reasonable distance to go and get their airtime top up, get a scratch card, which is how most of it works. Remember that one, they've been able to do it from wherever they are, so they haven't had to journey to get that. But two, if they keep an eye on the market and buy at the right time, if they earned their ETN at one price and then the price spikes up, spikes down, but if during that volatility they buy at a specific time, sometimes they're making even more on it. So they're very savvy. They don't spend it when they're making less on the down travel. They don't spend it then, and you'll see that we have these slowdown times. And then suddenly, if we have a spike up, everybody's topping up. So they're very aware of what the ETN's worth within their wallets, which is an interesting thing. And I think we're, like I've said in that Anon Summit, I think we're one of the only projects that probably has real world users that are nothing really to do with crypto. So they're using crypto. We've enabled them with crypto, but they're not part of the crypto community. Nearly the entire crypto market is only run with crypto enthusiasts. They're not just real world people that have said, what's the best way to do this? Is it Apple Pay? Is it PayPal? Or is it, it's not that. They are crypto people. Our users, massively so, are people that are being enabled by crypto. So they understand that they're getting involved in crypto, but they weren't crypto enthusiasts who said, oh, I'm going to use this because I'm a crypto enthusiast. There was somebody who went, cracky, yeah, I'm going to get involved in this because it gives me real world value. It gives me a way to do things that I've never been able to do before. So we're interested to see what goes on there. But so they've enabled utilities as well, and of course, way more doors have opened at way higher speed. So we're integrating as fast as we can. I know that I don't know, maybe Thursday, Friday of last week. I don't know, it's a bit crazy because of Anon Summit, so I don't know which day it happened. We might have put it out on social, I'm not sure. But we did our first 6 top-ups internally from the office with the staging server technology. So we picked people that were on any task. We reached out to them and said, can we have your electricity meter numbers, please? We're going to do a remote top-up from here in ETN. And
I think I saw Olivier actually tweet asking people to get in contact with him to test it.
Okay. Yeah. So those all went through. I think we did have a couple of glitches, but then once we fixed those and pushed it out, everybody was happy and got their electricity top up. So we're pushing hard on that. We wanted that live in May. It's not going to be live in May now. It's going to be live in June. But the guys at the office are very confident they're going to get that live. And it isn't just Nigeria. It's a few more countries. I don't think it's a full published list yet, but it's going to be a few more countries you can be able to do electricity top up, which is awesome. We've got another thing bubbling along, but the guys are all busy on this API integration at the moment. But we've got another API integration that's going to be so exciting. I don't want to give it away just yet because it's not absolutely locked in. But again, it's another African ability to buy something in multiple countries, maybe as many as 10, but certainly another 4 or 5 African nations that we're going to be able to do something else really exciting with. So we've just got loads of stuff going on, and that company are really happy because, of course, it's huge volumes of traffic that goes through, and that enables them to make a margin, and they know what they're doing in terms of pushing it out at the right times or whatever, and enabling those businesses to do that level of transaction without being ignorant of the market. So if you imagine somebody knows nothing about crypto whatsoever, they take ETN during the month, and then at the end of the month they just went bump and put it on as a big sell order or whatever, or on an exchange. It wouldn't necessarily be the best way to sell it. So the fact that we've got an OTC desk sitting in the middle that break this thing up into small amounts, monitor the markets, and work across multiple exchanges is the best possible way for it to be actioned anyway. So it's a very good partnership. I'm not, let's say partnership, so it's not a partnership. It's a very good relationship.
No, I guess I guess a way you could put it is they're providing you guys a service. So actually, you're their customer in a way, yeah.
We absolutely are, and in fact, our users are their customer. Their users don't give us the ETN. So when they buy airtime, some people they're paying airtime directly, but some ETN directly to the airtime people. But some of them the ETN goes off to the third party. It doesn't. Electroneum are not facilitating that. All we're doing is facilitating the integration into the app and the ability for those two parties to communicate. So probably legally we're probably an agent or some other phraseology that will be buried in some stack of paperwork somewhere.
And just to clarify, it's the same third party that's doing the top ups and the electricity. So they're very versatile.
We have had a couple of other people that approach us since, because they've realised that the volumes of money is worth having. But these guys again stuck their neck out and said, you know what, guys, they're relatively small OTC desk, but they were the ones who had the balls, should we say, to say, actually, do you know what, I think, guys, we believe in your project, and can we do something? And whilst there are other people out there saying, oh, well, we'll shave a 0.25% off or 0.5% off or whatever, these guys have been amazing right from the start. So I think that the relationship is something that we'll build up and up and up, rather than trying to scrimp on a 0.5% here or 0.5% there. You know, it's better to make sure that relationship grows stronger and stronger. So they've been great, and some of the ideas that they've got as well are quite wide thinking. So hopefully we're going to see some other exciting stuff going on there.
Fantastic. Well, like you said, it's a really efficient shortcut without anybody taking on a huge amount of corporate risk.
That's exactly right.
The MNOs don't have to take the risk on, yet they're still benefiting because they're getting airtime and data purchases. So that's exactly I think it's actually a really cool thing. And you still have the partnership with Cellcard in Cambodia anyway, so it's not like it's impossible to get.
And the Unlimited in South Africa, the CEO of the Unlimited reached out to me. In fact, I really must drop him a line to get that back going. If he watches this, my apologies. I've just been crazy busy. I'll reach out to you later on today and make sure we get that into the calendar, because actually we can reinvigorate that South African thing. He's got an idea down there at the Unlimited, and I think that it's going to be good and we can pursue it. So and once again, you've got to take your hat off to both Cellcard and the Unlimited for being forward thinking enough to go, look, I genuinely think that crypto is coming, and we can see that these guys are working with the very people that we work with. So let's give Electroneum a chance out there, and that takes some balls to do. So I take my hat off to both those businesses. They're very forward thinking, and they're not really they're not really doing this because they think it's going to make them huge volumes of money. They're doing it because they think it's actually going to help the people on the ground. So they're doing it for people. They're not doing it for standard commercial corporate reasons. You know, they're both companies that are very passionate about their users and trying to look after them in the best possible way.
I think in the environment in which we live in at the moment is the environment for which it will thrive. This lockdown will only prove that cryptocurrency as a whole, digital currencies, are the future. I mean, I've not touched cash since the whole COVID-19 thing began, and I don't plan on touching cash for a longer period of time because it can
we were
carry
just talking
lots of
this morning,
germs.
actually. We've got some friends who drove down to the beach, and they just drove along and just wanted to go and see it. They didn't get out of their car. They just drove around, saw the crowds forming in British beaches. And I don't think they're open yet, but these penny arcades where people drop their coins in and they shuffle around or whatever, the peanuts. But penny arcades and that type of environment, you just suddenly think, crikey, is anyone? We've had such a mind shift at the moment. That is a business that must be a really tough thing. One, they're probably forced closed at the moment, but even if they are allowed to open, are you going to get your coins where and start touching them? I have my doubts that people are going to want.
Not for me. Right, pressing on.
Yes, sorry.
So the next question I want to ask you is relating to the Anon Summit. I just wanted you to kind of maybe give a message to the community about actually, because some people were kind of disappointed that the announcement was the end of ETN rewards. Obviously, it was something that that people loved. Some people hated.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do get it. All I can say, I don't know. It's a difficult. Once again, we're in one of those sort of slightly grey areas of danger when I talk about it. I can't spell out the exact details of this, except to say there is token economics have to be taken into account. And what you'll find that some projects do is all they care about is token economics. They're not interested in remotely in real users. Not interested. They might purport to be. They might be all over their website talking about how this is going to change the world, but it isn't changing the world, and it never will change the world. And all they actually care about is one thing. They care about their token economics, and they care about something that I don't talk about at all, but the thing that probably the whole community focuses on. So from our point of view as a project, we had to get this out into loads and loads of people's hands. There was a great article someone shared with me. I'll try and find the link. I'm just trying to remember what the name of the website was, but it was a great article. It was about that Bitcoin is the most incredible thing ever. This was written maybe in 2014, 2015, and it was talking about Bitcoin is the most extraordinary thing that's ever happened in the world of finance, except the one problem it had was distribution. The only way to get it was to be very, very technical, and so what happened is Bitcoin ended up in the pockets of a very small number of people, and that's taken a long time to grow, and the only way it's grown really is through speculative use. It hasn't really grown through on the ground use; it's grown through speculative use. And so the article basically massively praises the concept of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. That was, at the time, it was virtually the only cryptocurrency, not strictly true, but massively praises it, but said the biggest fundamental problem was that Satoshi should have got this idea somehow to massively distribute it. And if they massively distributed it, then it would have taken off and it would have been much more successful. Now, bear in mind, that was written back in 2014, 2015. But at the time, it hadn't got enough users. Now, what we did is we came along to the market. I'd read that and thought, well, we can get massive distribution. We can get this out into the hands of pockets, but we're going to have an extraordinary token inflationary event because that's the only way to get it out into people's pockets. I can't convince people to do proof of work mining with a GPU rig that they don't own, that they've got to go and buy and build. They can't, but that's not going to happen. So ours had to work a different way. You know that the way we chose it was first it was called mobile mining, and it was called cloud mining, and then it turned to ETN rewards. All of that was following the law, by the way, and terms and conditions and various other things that change as time progresses. But by any other name, it was a massive distribution. We've got more real world users with wallets than anybody outside the top 5 projects in the world in terms of market capitalization or coin market cap list or whatever. In terms of our real world users, massively. Yeah, we're right up there. We're a top 5 crypto in every single way and you've only got to go and look at our verified Alexa stats or whatever. We've got loads of verified stats. We've got more verified stats coming out at 12 o'clock today, by the way. But
Oh, nice.
all these things, everything that we do is about real world adoption. And so we had to do that. We had to have this thing. But equally, we also have to have one eye on the fact that, again, and I'm touching on something that's such a dangerous thing for me, and I will get beaten for just saying it, but real world value has to exist. You can't, if you imagine if I just said, I've got a massive printing machine, and anybody who puts their hand up, I'll give them $1 million worth of ETN. $1 million for you, $1 million for you. It wouldn't be worth $1 million by the time it reached their wallet, because you can't print things that have value infinitely and not expect some form of detriment to the value. And I'm not allowed to talk about price. I'm not allowed to talk about value. So, but I will say, just because I just can't see how this can possibly be a crime for me to talk about it, but how could you transfer value from the global north, which is what we're all about? We want to empower people. We want to get crypto being used. How can we get value from the global north to the global south if Electroneum doesn't have any value? You can't. So there has to be some tiny little eye on the fact that there has to be a value to it. And I'm certainly not doing all the things that happen in crypto. We are in a regulated market, so I'm not doing things to ramp and pump and all those crazy things that are almost certainly, if they're not illegal now, they will be, and if they're not illegal yet, they should be. Yes. So those things are not what we're about. But we do have to make sure that we are very, very conservative, I suppose, and make sure that we've got both sides of this equation working nicely. Oh, I'm in such a terrible place. I can tell people I'm going to be whacked mercilessly. So I'm going to end that one as well. But we've done it for a very good reason. We've got distribution. We've got massive real world use. Now what we have to do is we have to get people into just realizing that actually really there is no such thing as money for nothing. Now this isn't money, it's ETN, but there's no money for nothing. There's no ETN for nothing. You have to do some work for it now, unfortunately. So that doesn't necessarily mean, remember, because there's distribution, it doesn't mean that everybody has to go through any task. Because once you've got distribution, if you imagine if you just look at barter, so if you've got a guy who makes bread and you've got a guy who makes beer and you've got a guy who breeds chickens, and the barter system that existed for tens of thousands of years. So though one man would give you some beer for some bread or whatever, but the equation didn't work out quite right. You ended up giving some beer, but you ended up with 4 loaves. So those 4 loaves, you don't eat the lot. You go off and you use one of those loaves to trade for somebody else. And somebody could trade that on again a couple of times during the day. Bread, okay, might go stale. But you get the idea that actually, once you've got distribution, you can actually have real world use now without people using any task, because the guy that's sitting there who's got some ETN in his wallet, we absolutely know are paying street vendors. They are paying shops. There are 70 odd shops or something in Uganda that are accepting ETN. So they're accepting ETN, and then they're giving it out to other people, and they're buying things from other people. So this is now circulating around. And like I've said, we've had hundreds of thousands of app-to-app transmissions of ETN. And we're going to be reaching out to some of those people to find out, the ones that are the higher users, to find out what is it you're doing, because we're in a great position to be able to actually ask those questions because we know who our users are. Whereas most cryptocurrency projects with anonymity or light anonymity of wallet holders, they don't know what they're doing. Chances are they're just bouncing it in and out of exchanges, because that's 99% of this market. But actually, where there is real world use, they can't reach out and say, what did you do? We can. So we can say, what do you do? Oh, yeah, I bought food from a street vendor. Whoa! We can go in there. We can do a little case study. We can get some photos. We can whack it out. We've got real world use, and we're one of the only ones that really has. So we're very excited to have that. Sorry. Anyway, I do apologise, because I know you got a few questions, and somebody's waving at me to say there's something going on in.
That's all good. It's all good. No. Again, much appreciate the detailed answers.
No. And if you've got more questions, I'm more than happy to schedule in another one of these. I'm sorry I've taken so long to answer things, but I'll schedule another one. So if we don't get through all the questions, because I know I've got an 11 o'clock. So at the moment we've got, let's say we've got 10 minutes more. I'll try and speak fast.
Let's go for it. Right. So the next question I want to ask you is regarding it's kind of in relation to the end of ETN rewards, because it kind of creates a clear selling point for the Electroneum M1 and M2. As you said, there's got to be a certain criteria to be able to still claim some sort of ETN rewards. So I was just wondering, with the M2, I know you spoke about the M2 with Oscar Tech, about the future of that. I was just wondering, how close are these phones likely to be to the manufacturing stage, and when are we likely, and where are we likely to see them?
Yeah, I mean, and that once again, slightly awkward topic, because every time we get batches of these things, sometimes on their way to nations, we sometimes find that the deal doesn't always work out when you think it's going to. Just so covering, I mean, those phones are still designed to do one thing, and they do achieve it, which is they are legitimizing the Electroneum brand in a local place. So we're not trying to make fortunes by selling mobile phones. We're not doing it for that reason. There's a lot of mistrust of cryptocurrency in the world markets. People are quite scared of cryptocurrency, and we wanted to make sure that there was something tangible. One of the very tangible things that people see in lots of places in the world is manufacturing. So we wanted to be a manufacturer of something, so it made sense to be a smartphone, so that you have that trust, and that's working anyway, just because of the fact that we've got them and we can show that they are being used. So we've got that. The M2, we've had a couple of specifications through to do it. So just quickly covering rewards, we're still giving out rewards. We know things about our own phones. Can't give you exact details for a security point of view, but we know things about our own phones, so we can detect them. We know when they're being used. We are still rewarding those users. Small amount, absolutely infinitesimally small amount in comparison to our ETN rewards, but we must reward those people. Remember, it was called the phone that pays you back, so it would be rude of us to turn it into worse than rude, perhaps even totally wrong. So we still reward those people because we said we would, and we are. But we also, so ETN rewards, some to the phones. M2 haven't got time for you, but just quickly while we're on rewards, there are still some other rewards going on. So again, I'm not going to mention the projects yet because it's not formalized, but we have some projects with NGOs where we're doing localized training. We're working with some people to create some training through AnyTask and on the ground training. So we're trying to get some vocational training to give people the skills to be able to list simplistic tasks. They're going to be helped through to try and supplement their income. But at the same time, we're going to be dropping out some ETN rewards in a local community, once again, to try and make sure you've got distribution in a local community. When I say local community, this might be 150 people, 200 people getting some ETN to enable that exchange to start taking place. Mm-hmm. So these are there's a few projects going out with NGOs to try and create some of these little hotspots that will be useful for us to do a few things. One, to do some learning. Two, to do some academic studies of cryptocurrency in the real world being used to solve a real world problem. There's lots of people talk about how it's going to change the world, but you need academics, trusted and recognized academics, to actually document this and to hone it, because it may need some changes. So we need to document it and hone it, and then you'll find that the NGOs that are out there will be far more embracing of it if they can see that academically it's been recognized as a solution. So we've got tons of stuff going on. Absolutely tons of stuff. So ETN rewards still exist, but in a much different guise to what it was before. For those people who had been enjoying ETN rewards, I'm terribly sorry that it's come to an end, but that doesn't mean the project come to an end. Far from it. Now is the time to say, well, actually, if you enjoyed ETN rewards, that means you enjoyed owning ETN. If you enjoyed owning ETN, earn a little bit of ETN. Yeah, we've had now more than 4,500, may even be more than 5,000 people have listed a task on AnyTask. We have a huge ramp up of that coming as well in terms of buyers. So yeah, that ecosystem is looking stronger. It is absolutely the biggest blockchain-based freelancer site that's ever existed in the history of the world, by not just a little bit, by orders of magnitude. There's a number of others that have come out. You have a look around for them, you'll find them. I won't name and shame them, but you know, I think the biggest one that I saw had got 500 tasks listed, hardly any sales at all. I mean, you could see that it was ridiculous how few sales there were, 10 or 20 or something, you know, ever one of them was. And I think the other one, I drilled down in and found that they'd done 80 sales ever in the history of the site, you know, and these are daily sale numbers, not ever in the history of the site. We're orders of magnitude more powerful, I'm not sure that's the word, more successful than any of these other projects have ever been. And we're only just at the start. We're only a few months old. This tech can change the world. Cryptocurrency and Electroneum specifically can change the world, and we're on that road to doing it. It's an amazing thing, and it empowers that person at the other end, which is fabulous to see. So we're actually using cryptocurrency for something that's amazing, and at the same time, everybody that's involved in Electroneum outside of that specific environment is part of something awesome. And of course, there will be other people. There are people in the global north that accepts ETN. Go and have a look at ETN everywhere. There's loads of sites that take ETN now, and you're going to start seeing that go up and up and up. So it's a medium of exchange. It's a payment token, and a very good one.
Fantastic. Well, I very much appreciate the detailed answer.
Sorry, yeah, we've only got about 2 minutes. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. I think now would be a good time to maybe do some like closing statements. So if there's anything you'd like to say, I'd just like to say thank you for taking the time out. Obviously, there are a few questions left, but we can organise another one. So.
It's my fault for giving such long answers. People ask me questions. I try to give as much detail as I can without someone pulling that lever on the trapdoor and me falling into the pit. But I want to be as transparent as we possibly can be in the project. Some transparency comes out later on today. I'm not sure if you're publishing this today though. So 12 o'clock. Somebody's now going like this to me. I'm sure it means they're making me a cup of tea. It's got to do. Yeah, look, there's going to be Cointelligence have done a report on us, which is a third-party report. I mean, I read it and I think, well, crikey, it's not particularly flattering, but it's absolutely bang on. Everything is super accurate in terms of their analysis of the project in a dispassionate way. They've done it for a couple of other projects that have just kept that document internal. We thought, no, we'd rather, even if it's brutal truth, we would rather it was out there in the public domain. But actually, what they did is we gave them access to our figures. So people because we've got real world figures and massive figures, people have sometimes doubted our figures. In the early days, they absolutely outright said, Rich, you're a liar. And what's been brilliant about this is we've invited them in. Oh,
that's right. It's just my camera. It just randomly went off.
Yeah, sorry. What's been brilliant about this is we've invited them in, and they've literally sat down with Ellen, our data girl, who data lady. I'm not sure that she would want to be a girl, but she's younger than me, so she gets called girl. So but she sat down with him, and they've looked in great detail at the statistics and the figures that we're giving. They've done live data queries, and they've gone, do you know what? These are real figures. And we're like, yeah, that's what we've been saying all this time. So it's been really good, and that is in that document. I'm really pleased that gets out there with that sort of formality of a trusted third party looking at it.
Obviously this has been a report that the community has been kind of waiting for a while. It's going to be fantastic to read, and had no idea that it was going to be today. So absolutely fantastic.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much.
My daughter's just locked up as well now, so I should say hello to them. So I'm going to go for my cup of tea, which has been clearly indicated. But thank you for your time, and I'm so sorry that I'm cutting it short to jump off onto the call next, which is the call about all of the banners that I need to sign off for this project. So I'm sure that ETN people will be happy that I'm disappearing off to do some work. So it's an absolute pleasure to talk to you as always. And those other questions that we didn't get onto, we'll schedule in with somebody, and I'm more than happy to find another half hour, and we'll jump on and finish it off if you want to do so.
Definitely. It's always fantastic having you on the channel, so it's much appreciated. So yeah, that was the interview with the amazing Richard Ells, CEO of Electroneum. If you like this video, please smash the like button, make sure you're subscribed, and yeah, we'll catch you guys out in the next video. Peace out.